Why everyone is disappointed with the Michael Jackson biopic. It was supposed to be the biggest music biopic ever made. A film about Michael Jackson, the most iconic entertainer in history. A $200 million production. Massive hype. A lead actor who literally looks like him. And yet, within days of release, the verdict was brutal. Critics didn't just dislike the film, they rejected it outright. The shock. A legendary story. With a 26% score. When Michael finally hit theaters in 2026, expectations were sky-high. But instead of universal praise, the film debuted with a disastrous 27% score on Rotten Tomatoes. That puts it among the worst-reviewed biopics in recent memory. And the reaction wasn't subtle. Frustrating, really bad, safe and hollow. So what went wrong? The film plays it too safe. The biggest criticism? The movie feels less like a story and more like a carefully controlled tribute. Instead of diving into the complicated life of Michael Jackson, the film focuses only on his rise to fame, ending in 1988 at the peak of his success. That means no later controversies, no deep personal struggles, no real conflict in the second half. Critics say it feels like a sanitized version of reality. Even major publications pointed out that modern biopics like this are becoming brand management instead of honest storytelling. In simple terms, the movie avoids the most important parts of his story. The biggest controversy is completely missing. Here's where things get serious. The film completely removes the 1993 allegations and later controversies, one of the most debated aspects of Michael Jackson's life. Originally, those scenes were included, but they were cut late in production due to legal issues, forcing reshoots and a rewritten ending. Now the film ends before any of that happens. Critics and audiences noticed immediately. Many called the movie incomplete, avoiding the truth, not an honest portrayal. And that creates a major problem. You can't tell the story of Michael Jackson by skipping half of it. A story that feels half-finished. Because of these changes, the movie doesn't feel like a full biography. It feels like part one of a story without a proper ending. Even the film itself hints at a continuation, literally ending with a message like, "The story continues." But audiences didn't sign up for a preview. They expected a complete story. Result: the film feels emotionally unfinished. 4. Strong performance, weak writing. Ironically, one of the film's biggest strengths is also its biggest frustration. Jaffer Jackson delivers a performance that many critics actually praised. He looks right, moves right, feels authentic. But the script? Thin character development, surface-level emotions, no deep psychological exploration. Critics described the film as cliché, bland, like a tribute show, not a movie. So even when the acting works, the story doesn't support it. 5. Behind-the-scenes chaos hurt the film. The problems didn't start at release. They started during production. The film faced major reshoots costing $10-15 million, legal complications, delays from strike, script rewrites late in development. The budget reportedly ballooned to $170 to $200 million. That kind of instability almost always shows up on screen. And here it did. Fans versus critics. A divided reaction. Interestingly, not everyone hates the film. Fans love the music and performances, critics hate the storytelling. Audience scores are significantly higher, with some viewers enjoying it as a nostalgic experience rather than a serious biopic. This creates a split. Fans, it's a celebration; critics, it's a missed opportunity. The real problem, the bottom line. The failure of the Michael movie comes down to one core issue. It tries to protect the legacy instead of exploring the truth. And that's risky. Because the best biopics, like Rocketman or Bohemian Rhapsody, work when they show the highs, the lows, the uncomfortable reality. This film shows mostly the highlights. Final verdict. Here's a more powerful, cinematic, emotionally layered version of your paragraph, expanded into a voiceover-ready monologue with depth, tension, and real-world grounding. Elaborated version. High-impact storytelling. This isn't a failure caused by bad acting. It's not because the budget was too small. In fact, the film cost nearly $200 million to make. Wikipedia. And it's definitely not because the story of Michael Jackson isn't compelling. No, this failure comes from something much deeper.
Fear.
Fear of controversy. The filmmakers knew exactly what they were dealing with. Michael Jackson's life isn't just legendary, it's complicated. It's uncomfortable. It forces questions that don't have easy answers. But instead of confronting that complexity, the film avoids it. It ends in 1988, right before the most controversial chapter of his life even begins. Critics didn't miss that. Because when you remove the hardest parts of a story, you don't simplify it. You flatten it. Fear of legal trouble. This wasn't just a creative decision. Behind the scenes, there were real legal constraints. The film originally included scenes tied to the 1993 allegations, including police raids and emotional fallout. But those scenes had to be cut completely because of a legal agreement that prevented certain events from being portrayed. That led to major rewrites, a completely new ending, expensive reshoots. The result? A story that was literally reshaped by legal limits. Fear of damaging a legacy. And then there's the most important fear of all, protecting the legacy. The film is heavily tied to the estate, the same entity responsible for preserving Michael Jackson's image. And that influence shows. Critics describe the movie as sanitized, safe, more brand management than storytelling. Because instead of asking difficult questions, the film chooses celebration over confrontation. The cost of playing it safe. And here's the real tragedy. By trying to avoid controversy, by trying to stay legally safe, by trying to protect a legacy, the film loses the one thing that made the story powerful in the first place.
Truth.
Because the real story of Michael Jackson isn't just about fame, music, success. It's about contradiction, genius and struggle, fame and isolation, admiration and controversy. That tension, that complexity, that's what makes a story feel real.